everybody, welcome to episode 61 of the Pins and Needles podcast. My name is Zoe. You can find me everywhere as Pins and Needles UK. If you check the drop down box below this video, you will find links to all of my places. You will find show notes. You will find timestamps if you want to skip around. I list all the projects and the yarns that I talk about, and there's also a link to the Knit Tea Retreat website and newsletter and group. There's links to Cartref Yarn shop and newsletter update as well. And you'll also find a link to my Ko-fi account. So thank you very much to everyone that's been busily donating to my Ko-fi account. That is very much appreciated. I think I mentioned before, but the donations the last time I spent some of them, I bought a fancy new tripod. So that's what I'm recording on today. All thanks to you guys. Admin-y type news things, mostly to do with the Knit Tea Retreat. For anybody that's new, hello, by the way. My friend Jenny of Owl About Yarn and I run two businesses together. One is Cartref Yarn, which is our own yarn line with fleece that we've sourced ourselves. It's all 100% Welsh, from farm to yarn, all in Wales. But we also run knitting retreats based in Cardiff and Stratford-upon-Avon. Unfortunately, our summer Stratford retreat has had to be cancelled basically because of the whole coronavirus thing, but we're moving it online. So now everybody can come to the first ever virtual Knit Tea Retreat. So that runs Saturday the 13th and Sunday the 14th of June. We have just sent out an email newsletter to all of our subscribers detailing this list of all the events. And it includes Instagram and Facebook Lives on the Saturday with Jenny and I. There's going to be a virtual bring and take table. There's going to be a bingo game to play. And then the Sunday is all marketplace, and obviously Cartref Yarn and Owl About Yarn will be taking part in that. And there's also a yarn crawl that goes on that day. So there's lots of brilliant prizes to be won. And the nice thing about it being virtual is that it doesn't matter if you're in America or Germany or anywhere, you can come and join us. So yes, if you click the link down below, that will take you to the website and all of the information is going to be listed on there, so you won't have missed out. What other news? There were quite a few of you lovely viewers who've been coming over and joining us on the Dave's Gym YouTube channel. We've been posting lots of online workouts and things on there and chats about things because our gym is still currently closed. But there are quite a few of you who are just starting your fitness and strength journey with us, which is lovely. But the workouts and things that we were pitching previously were a sort of an intermediate level. So what Dave's decided to do is to start a how to train series for either people that are literally brand new or that haven't really trained for a very long time. So everyone's sort of starting at a beginner level. So if that's you, head over to the channel. Again, there's a link down below. The series has its own playlist and it starts with a chat between Dave and I, and then he's posting workouts. He's just finished recording one now that he'll be uploading, so you can follow along with those as well. So I hope that's useful to you. I love the idea of meshing my two worlds of exercise and knitting. Who says they don't go hand in hand? What else? I think that's it for admin. Let's just get on with some knitting stuff. It's a lovely warm day in Wales today, which means I've got my front window open. So if you can hear buses and people, I'm sorry about that. But yeah, I live on Barry Island, right on the coast of South Wales, with Dave, my husband, our three kids, and Jim the dog. And so even though we're sticking to the local exercise only rules that are current for lockdown, my local exercise is the beach. So there's lots of locals going to the beach and we're on sort of one of the main thoroughfares really. Anyway, finished objects. Oh, that was a bit too strong. I showed this one last time, but I finished the other one. So this is a pattern of my own design in our own yarn. This is the Cartref 4-ply yarn. And this is my Journey Cowl pattern. this is the initial one that I designed for the pattern write-up. And I need to keep one nice as a sample for the stand, and that often means I don't get to wear any of my own designs. So as soon as I finished that one, I cast straight on for this one so that I would have one. So this is in our Forest colourway, the green, and the undyed, the natural, is Naturiol. And then this one for me to keep is in our Coron colourway, which means royal, and it's this beautiful plummy reddy purple. I absolutely love it. My test knitters have been going gangbusters. They're absolutely fabulous. I think pretty much everybody's finished now, giving me loads of really positive feedback, so I can polish up the pattern, and that pattern will be released during the Sunday virtual marketplace for the Knit To retreat. So that's Sunday the 14th. Yes, and I always send out a discount code to my newsletter subscribers. So if you find the link down below for my design newsletter, then I will send out a discount code on the day. So don't panic if you don't get anything immediately. Moving straight from this one to this one meant that I ended up doing an awful lot of ribbing. It's been the 2 weeks of ribbing because it coincided with ribbing on other projects. So I've been knitting 2x2 things until they've come out of my ears. The story of this design is that the colourwork motifs track the physical journey that Jenny and I go on to produce our yarn. I live by the sea, as I mentioned, so I've got waves. And then when Jenny and I drive to our local wool depot to sort and select fleece to buy, obviously it's Wales, so there's lots of mountains, so that's what the zigzags are. We buy our raw fleeces from the British Wool Marketing Board depot, and their logo is crossed shepherd's crooks. So I came up with a stylised shepherd's crook repeat for that one. And then once we've picked up all of our fleeces, they get loaded into the back of an enormous long base transit van, and Jenny and I drive it to the mill. And they're really tight, tiny, windy country lane roads. And in the UK, the road signs warning you of tight bends is black background with white chevrons on. So that's what these chevrons are here. And then this sort of lozenge pattern right at the end represents the ends of the rollers of the carding machinery that's used. So that's the story of that one. So I finally finished that one. I do still have to take official pattern pictures. I've taken some just to put on social media for marketing, but I need to take official photographs. But it's my absolute least favourite part of pattern designing. I'm just not very good at taking pictures. I don't care particularly what I look like in them. I'm not very self-conscious about that. But I struggle to get the pictures I want. I could ask my husband to help me, but he has his own ideas of what I want for pattern photographs. But going back to lockdown briefly, Wales is different to England. So we currently have very slightly different lockdown rules. And Wales has just announced that from tomorrow, from Monday, which is the 1st of June, 2 people from different households can meet outside. So up until last week, Jenny and I were having weekly business meetings in a car park. We'd park a couple of car park spaces apart in the Costco car park, and sort of shout at each other. And it wasn't terribly comfortable and all the rest of it. So I think this Wednesday we can meet up in one of our gardens, and maybe I can prevail upon Jenny to take some nice finished object photos. In terms of yarn usage, I use 60 grams approximately of the main colour of Cartref 4-ply, and I think I use 17 grams of the contrast colour. Some of my test knitters have done one main colour but different contrast colours, or different main colours and the same contrast. So there's some really nice variations. I love seeing how people mix up my designs. I do have another finished object that hadn't even been cast on. If you remember last time we spoke, I showed you some ribbing, more ribbing, and I'd cast on some fingerless mitts, but the whole thing was twisted. There was a lace pattern on the back of the hand, but otherwise the rest of it was all twisted ribbing, and it was twisted pearls as well as twisted knits. and it was DK yarn on a 3mm needles, and I got as far as 3 inches of cuff ribbing and thought, I don't want to. So I ripped them out. But I was very keen to keep using the yarn from my stash. So I was tidying up some old paperwork in my bedroom and came across the Shirestones hat pattern, which is a design by Mina Phillip, who is the knitting expat. I'd obviously printed it out years ago and never got round to actually knitting it, so I thought, this must be fate, I'll knit a hat. And Mina is one of our tutors for the coming October Knit Tea retreat. Fingers crossed we can still do an in-person retreat in October. So it fit nicely in because I can go into the Knit Tea retreat threads on Ravelry, and it counts for some knit-alongs and things. Anyway, this is my hat. And I absolutely loved every single minute of knitting this. So you can see it's a knit and purl design. It's got a 2x2 brim, and this is a doubled brim. Oh, I just knocked I got my laptop balanced on my lap, somewhat unsurprisingly. Yes, Shirestones hat by Mina Phillip. I knitted it out of a skein of yarn given to me by a friend of mine. Nice and Knit DK. It's a 100% merino yarn, and it's in the colourway Nantucket. And I used 70 grams to knit the hat, and I have 30 grams remaining. So that will make a nice stripe, or maybe some baby mittens for my nephew. But the pattern has a folded brim, which also contributed to all the ribbing. I think I cast off, I did the last ribbing on the purple Journey cowl, and then I cast on for this hat and had to knit 4 inches of 2x2 ribbing. The pattern suggests that you do a provisional cast on, so that when you come to knit it together, you've got the stitches ready on a cable, or do a normal cast on, and then you can pick up each cast on stitch to knit together. I did neither of those things, because provisional cast ons, I do the crochet version, and I couldn't be bothered to stand up and find a crochet hook. And when it got to the end and I was going to double the brim up and attach it, it was just too much of a faff. So I just whip stitched it, which worked out absolutely fine. But I really love it. I knit it, there's sort of instructions for knitting it fitted and knitting it slouchy, and I kind of went halfway between the two. And I wanted to make sure that this double brim sat over my ears. It gets incredibly windy on Barry Island, even in the summer. So I have actually worn this a couple of times when out walking the dog, just to keep the wind out of my ears. I won't try it on because my hair is in a weird halfway state at the moment because of not being able to get to a hairdresser. And so I've clipped it to my head within an inch of its life. But if I shuffle over a bit, I can put a picture up here, admittedly not a brilliant picture of what I look like on. But yes, the yarn was just perfect. It was exactly what I needed, and there is nothing like a hat for a quick win. So I very much enjoyed that. Dave really likes it as well. And I've got some really nice soft grey alpaca DK yarn, so I might knit him one of these as well. But not right now, because ribbing. Oh, I didn't, it relaxed nicely when I blocked it. It gave me just the right amount of growth to get it over my ears. Another finished object, quick pause for some squash, is again something you haven't seen. In my home thread in Ravelry, one of my friends, the same lady that gave me the yarn for the hat actually, posted that she wanted to cast on a new pair of Shorty socks. It's the Flores pattern by Locatelli. And did anyone want to join in for an along? And I thought, yeah, I will knit along with you for those. But I didn't have any suitable, I've got plenty of sock yarn, but I wanted like a summery, flowery sort of yarn, and I didn't have any. So I messaged my friend Jenny, and it turns out, of course, she had the perfect yarn. Rummage. So I knit an entire pair of Shorty socks in less than a week because they were just clearly exactly what I wanted to knit. I loved the yarn. the pattern is very easily memorizable. It's basically feather and fan lace, which is pretty easy to memorize. So I've got me a pair of Shorty socks. These is the only pair of Shorty socks I've ever made. I wasn't sure if I'd like them, but actually they're perfect. You know, the lace makes them a bit lighter to wear. They don't come high up your leg. So I'm sure I'll be wearing these over summer, and I already want to knit some more. So yeah, as I said, pattern by Joji Locatelli. It's a top-down heel flap and gusset pattern, 1 by 1 rib. Again, you can't really see if I hold it a bit closer. There you go, heel flap and turn, and then a standard wedge toe. And if I take one off and put it on the other end the other way round, you can see the pattern. One thing, the pattern was very well written, but normally fairly standard sock patterns for 4-ply weight have 56, 64 and 72 stitch counts. And this one, the largest size was 70 stitches. And I thought, although it's a lace pattern, there are decreases obviously as well as yarn overs. So I wasn't sure that 70 stitches was actually going to be big enough for my foot. So I cast on 72, which just meant that if you have a look, there's the feather and fan, and you can see that on the top of the foot you have a couple of stitches before you have the lace. So I think her pattern had 1 stitch, lace repeat 1 stitch, but mine had 2 stitches, lace repeat 2 stitches. So I'm really thrilled with these. I have worn them once, which is why they're not a perfect fit on my blockers to show you, because I just wanted to put them on straight away. But yeah, really happy with those. And I've got big feet. I'm 6'1" and I've got size 10 UK feet. So there's Jenny's label, Owl About Yarn, and it's her Cuddly Owl sock, which is a merino nylon blend in the colourway Unicorn Tails. Oh, still got my needles in there. Make sure I don't lose those. Here's the yarn. And I used 56 grams of yarn to knit my Shorty socks. So I would have enough yarn here for another pair, either for a smaller pair of feet or for me if I used contrast heels, cuffs and toes. So yeah, I really enjoyed those. Once I cast them on, I just had to knit them until they were finished. I just had to accept that that was what I was going to knit, and that was fine. I've been keeping these in my lovely bee and dragonfly bag by Emma of Eldenwood Craft. It's the perfect size for a sock. Next up for works in progress, I have been continuing, let me pop these down, but I'm going to need the blocker now. I've been knitting Helen Stewart's socks pattern, the Honeybee Dance socks. I abandoned them whilst knitting the Flores socks, but I finished the Flores socks yesterday, and then last night Dave and I, Current Boy, just finished watching Good Omens, and I just picked up my first sock in progress, and I managed to, well, I finished it this morning. I knit a couple of repeats on the foot last night, a couple this morning, and now I have one finished sock. Isn't it gorgeous? So you can see you've got some twisted rib here, and then it goes into a honeycomb cable. And again, if I swivel it round, you can see the design. There's the design on the front. So these are supposed to be little bees, which I think work rather well. And again, so the twisted rib and the lace design helps counteract the narrowness that you would get from the honeycomb cables. Again, standard 2x2 rib, more ribbing, heel flap and gusset, wedge toe, bob's your knob, sock. You need to knit complete repeats, so that you must finish the foot at the end of the 12 round repeat. So I had to keep a bit of a close eye on it. When I finished this last repeat, I measured and I wasn't quite at my foot length before starting my toe. So I just knit, I think it was 3 plain rounds of stocking stitch before I started the toe decreases. I don't know if she said to do that in the pattern. Basically, I'm just following the chart and putting it into my own sock recipe. So yeah, if you're going to knit these, just make sure that you check your foot length and add plain rows if you need to. But I've got the pattern in my head now. It looks a bit complicated, but it's really not. So this is a fairly mindless knit for me now. I do have the pattern on a clipboard nearby, mostly just to check that I get the number of stitches before the yarn over is correct. I have cast on for the second sock. Oh, this is another Owl About yarn, but this is her Sparkle Owl in the colourway Rumpelstiltskin. So it's this beautiful, sparkly, dirty yellow colour. I was hoping to record this podcast earlier. What is it now? It's 12:30. I was hoping to do it first thing, but by the time I got myself going, David done the same. So he had pinched the tripod to record that workout. Anyway, I amused myself by clearing up the kitchen and then casting on the second sock. So I've only done about 6 or 7 rounds, but it's important to cast on the second sock immediately because otherwise you don't. So now it's all ready to go again when I get to sit down later. Oh, that was my other needle. With 5 of us home constantly, it is an uphill struggle trying to stop my house descending into absolute chaos. And it's not helped by the fact that Jim the dog, much as I love him, is molting like Billy-O. Like Billy-O. We throw him in the sea every day, partly to cool him off, partly because he loves swimming, and partly to try and sluice some of the loose hair off him. And I'm combing him every day, which he doesn't really like. But still, there's hair everywhere. And although I only have 3 children, there seem to be 87,000 used cups, plates and spoons scattered around my house. So I don't know if you can tell, it's slightly starting to get on my wick. Anyway, what else for works in progress? I think that's kind of it for works in progress. I kind of have like a future knitting. I can't remember if I showed this last time. I wound up some yarn. I've been wanting to knit myself, sorry, crackling. One of these jumpers that everyone's knitting, that's 4-ply and mohair held together to make a DK weight Cuddly jumper. And in my stash, it was a gift to me a couple of years ago from a lovely lady. She gave me 4 skeins of Posh Yarn. Now, Posh Yarn is a Welsh dye, so that tickled me. In the Martha sock yarn, which is 80% merino, 10% cashmere and 10% nylon, in the colourway Somebody Needs Their Nap. And it's this lovely grey lilac colour. Slightly tonal. That's looking pretty accurate there, actually. And I've decided to pair it with some Rowan Kidsilk Haze, which I bought from my lovely friend Angela of Yarn and Yarns. It probably does have a name, but they never put the names on it. And the shade number is 00678. So I'm going to hold these 2 together, and the Kidsilk Haze will hopefully emphasise the purple in the main yarn. And I've been dithering about which pattern to use, and I think I've made a decision. The choices were the Cozy Classic Raglan by Jessie Made Designs. It's just a top-down raglan, slightly oversized. Or the Paloma turtleneck pattern, not turtleneck, funnel neck pattern, which is a free pattern by the ladies of Espace Tricot. And I think I'm going for the Paloma pattern. Again, I will put a picture up here, but the key design points are it's got this turtleneck, funnel neck, I'm not sure which one, and it has lines. It's 1 by 1 rib, and those sort of, I don't know, half a dozen stitches of rib run all the way down the shoulder, all the way down the sleeve as well. It has quite a wide sleeve. There are no decreases in it, which I don't want. I definitely want to taper the sleeve. But what I'm missing at the moment, excuse me, I don't have any plain stocking stitch projects. I absolutely love just going round and round and round in stocking stitch. It's very soothing. I can pick it up and put it down. Absolutely love it. So I think I'm going to swatch for the Paloma sweater. Maybe this afternoon, maybe tomorrow. Depends how today goes, because today is vanishing. So that's kind of future knitting, but I'm really looking forward to having a go with holding these yarns doubled. I considered winding the two together, but I'm not sure if that would be a good idea if they've moved through my hands at a different rate, so I'll keep them separate. I will need to do helical knitting, so I blend the indie dyed yarns, I'm alternating skeins effectively, so I might end up with quite a bit of yarn wrangling to do, but I'm sure a couple of Ziploc bags and a can-do attitude will sort that out. But that will also be ribbing. Did I mention all the ribbing that I'm doing? So much ribbing, more ribbing. Oh my God. Let's have a look. Oh, I have a tiny little bit of spinning. I've mentioned on the last couple of podcasts that I bought a spinning class from Worsted to Woolen by JC Boggs Faulkner on Blueprint. Now, unfortunately, Blueprint announced this last week that they're going to be closing. They were bought by NBC a while ago, and they've moved from very in-depth tutorials on a specific subject to a slightly lighter format, a little bit more entertainment as opposed to tutoring. Admittedly, I haven't seen any of the new format ones, so I don't know how good they are, but this particular spinning class was highly recommended, and I'd been dithering about buying it for ages. Finally bought it, and then literally 2 weeks later they're going to be closing the site. Apparently they are going to be working on giving us access to the classes that we have bought for life. They've recently moved to a subscription structure of payments, so rather than buying individual classes whenever you want them, you pay monthly and get access to loads of them. So for those of us that have bought specific classes, they apparently are going to be able to let us keep those classes, but just in case I don't get access to it anymore, I thought I'd better crack on with it. The next bit of the lesson I needed to do was spinning from the fold, which I'd never done before. My trouble with learning new things with spinning is I worry about waste. I worry about wasting my time producing something rubbish when I could use the default method of spinning, my short forward draw, and get something I know will be nice. I worry about wasting fibre. With knitting, if you make a mess of something, you rip it out and have the yarn back. You can fix mistakes in spinning, but it's not the same, so I really worry about messing up the fibre and wasting it. But that's just silly, and it's stopping me learning new things, so I thought I would channel my inner Angela from Yarn and Yarns, who is fearless when it comes to crafting. It's something I admire about her very much. So I channeled my inner Angela, and I sat down and just did some. This is beautiful fibre. This is a merino silk blend that was sent to me by Caroline of Colourful Creativity in my advent calendar, and she sent me about 50 grams of combed top. I split that into half, and I've got 25 grams to practice spinning from the fold on. So I split the 50 grams into 25 grams, and then I've split that 25 grams down into 2 strips, and this is the first of those strips. So I'm only halfway through. I've done one of the singles, and it's hard to tell from a singles yarn, but you can see the sheen on it. I'm getting it. Is that focused? Yes, I think. Focus on the... There we go. That's better. I'm getting it fairly even. I'm not trying to spin a particular weight. Now focus on me. There we go. I'm just trying to focus on the technique. I have struggled with it. I found I was getting the fibre folded over my finger fine. but it was somehow getting tangled, so it wasn't all coming off the front like that. It was sort of some was coming out from the bottom, so I kept having to stop and rearrange it and then go again. But you shouldn't expect to be brilliant. I don't know why that's doing that again. There we go. You shouldn't expect to be brilliant on the first try. So hopefully this afternoon I can have a go at spinning up the other bit, and I'll have a finished yarn to show you at the end. But that's my spinning. I do actually have some, I don't have any sewing to show you. I have some sewing to talk about, let's put it that way. I've been wanting to sew myself some nice summer dresses. The one I'm wearing I bought from a shop, and it's just a really simple T shape with a turned cuff on it. Very similar to Tilly and the Buttons' Stevie dress, if you know that one. And then a lady that I follow on Instagram posted a yellow and white gingham dress that she'd made, and I just thought, that's the dress I want. So I decided to get on with it. So it is the Fen dress from Fancy Tiger Crafts. I bought the PDF download. It is available as a printed pattern. The designer is Amber Corcoran, and it's sizes 0 to 20. I don't know if that's American or English. If I show you the back bit, you can see the line drawings. So it's got loads of different options. Sleeves, no sleeves, top, dress. It does come with an adaptation, so you can have like a shirt bottom to it rather than a straight hem. I'm going to be making this one, which is view B, and you can see that it's got pockets. It's slightly similar to the Tilly and the Buttons Bettine dress, which I've sewn before, in that it has, I don't know what sort of pockets you call those, but it has those sorts of pockets. But this one has a gathered waist, and the Bettine has a elastic casing waist, and that's more tulip shaped. And I don't like tulip shaped because my stride length is too long. So yes, I spotted this on my friend's Instagram account, and I just went and bought it, and I printed it out, and I assembled it all, and I've read the instructions, and I've measured myself because it's been so long since I've sewn anything. And if you've been wondering what this fabric is behind me, this is the fabric I'm going to be using. This is a vintage tablecloth belonging to my great aunt Daphne, who is no longer with us. It's enormous, so I'm not going to be able to show you the whole thing unfolded, but you'll get an idea. So this blue bit at the top forms a massive rectangle in the middle of the tablecloth, and it's got this border around the outside. So I haven't got as far as laying it out to work out my cutting layout, but what I'm hoping, let me make this a bit more of a manageable size. What I'm hoping is to use the original hem of the tablecloth as the bottom of the skirt, so I'll get sort of the skirt will be something like that, with that blue band at the bottom and then going into this centre panel around the waist. And then I will try and see if I can get the whole of the bodice out of this top bit, and then it will all look of a piece just like the tablecloth. It's a slightly oversized boxy shaped dress, so fit is not going to be a huge issue. I think I need an 18 for the skirt bit and a 16 for the top bit. So I'll cut out a straight size 18, adding length because I'm tall, and I will baste it together a bit to see if I actually want to take the sides in a bit at the top. So yeah, actual sewing. It's a pretty simple pattern. I think it's called Adventurous Beginner or something. What does it say? No, it just says straight beginner. There you are. So it shouldn't be much of a challenge to make, which means with a bit of luck, I'll be wearing it the next time we speak. Next up is acquisitions. I've only really got one acquisition, unless you count the sewing pattern. And that was my monthly knit crate. Do check the drop down box below for this. I'm part of the Knit Crate Ambassador scheme, which means that they send me yarn for free in return for my honest opinion and to talk about it on my social media, which I do. If you sign up to the Knit Crate monthly subscription boxes using my affiliate link, you get a discount and I get a bit of money as well. Just to be clear, all the details are down below. Usually they come in smart cardboard boxes, but I think because of the whole coronavirus thing, they've had supplier issues, so it just comes in this massive mailing bag now. And this month's knit crate was rather fun. I don't usually keep the knit crate stuff. I have more yarn than I can ever knit, and I use them for giveaway prizes, and this month's knit crate will be used as a giveaway prize for part of the virtual knit tea retreat. So if you like this and you fancy being in with a chance of winning it, make sure you take part in the retreat. So what I've got, it's the blank canvas, there you go, and what they've sent is 2 100-gram skeins of pure merino 4-ply weight, and it is so soft. It is beautifully soft yarn. And this is produced in collaboration with a lady called Rebecca Brown of Chem Knits Creations. There she is at the bottom. And the idea is that you have a go at dyeing your own yarn. So they also include 2 sachets of Kool-Aid. And I got what did I get? A cherry and an orange. Different people got different flavoured sachets, but I got cherry and orange. They include 2 little zip ties to help you with dyeing the yarn, and this rather sweet little pack of post-it notes. And everyone always needs post-it notes. And they've, oh yes, and the lady that's Rebecca of Chemnitz has posted some yarn dyeing tutorials on YouTube to follow. So if you're not used to it, you've got some instructions. And the nice thing about dyeing with Kool-Aid is because this is a food product, you can use your normal kitchen equipment. When Jenny and I dye Cartref Yarn, we use acid dyes. And you must be very careful that you use separate utensils and basins and bowls and stuff. But this, you can use any of your own normal kitchen equipment. So yeah, if you follow the Knit Crate account on Instagram, you can see some of people's attempts at dyeing, and it looks like they've had so much fun with it. And it really is fun to just have a go. So all of this will be going back in its envelope. I'll do that now actually. And it'll be in the prize pot for the virtual knit tea retreats. So if you fancy having a go, make sure you join in. I think that's it for the actual crafty bit of the podcast. There's just a bit of chat. We've got plenty of yarn in the Cartref shop at the moment. I think we've still got all the different colourways in DK and 4-ply weight. And we're just waiting for our mill owner to get back to us. Excuse me. He was going to start getting ready, washing the next batches of yarn. We've only been going just over a year, and because of the lead time in processing fleece, it's taken us a while to get to the point where we have plenty of stock in hand, and that we're also in a position to order the next batch of yarn to be spun so that we can always keep our supply levels quite high. It's just a question of physical space in my house. Depending on when the next batch of undyed yarn turns up, I don't know where I'm going to put it. I might be sleeping on it like the Princess and the Pea. We'll have to see. So yeah, I've been busy with obviously the pattern designs for Cartref and loads of organising stuff for the Knit Tea Retreat. Lots of social media things and Ravelry groups and product photography. Again, not my favourite, but I think I did all right. What else have I got to do? Been busy with gym stuff. Just because the gym itself is shut does not mean that there is no admin to do. And I've tried to be a bit stricter this week about sitting down every single day, firing up the laptop, going through, I don't know how many inboxes I currently have for email, but there's a lot. So I've been getting on with doing that. And we've been unable to plan for what's going to happen for the gym because we haven't had any information about opening dates or hygiene requirements or timescales or anything like that. But we heard that the Welsh Government have announced that from Monday, with this whole you can meet one person not from your household outside, that means that Dave can get back to doing personal training. Our gym has a back garden, quite a decent sized back garden that's covered in astroturf. And that means that he can train people one-on-one outside while still maintaining social distancing, which means he can get back to work. So in order to do that safely, I've had to write lots of processes and procedures and protocols. And so I've been reading up on our industry association guidelines and double checking government websites and sourcing posters so that we can remind people of symptoms and how to behave and all this sort of stuff. So I've been kind of tied to my laptop this week, which is not my favourite thing, but it needed doing. Jocelyn and I are continuing to do Couch to 5K, and oh my God, we've just finished week 4 and it was hard. And like I said, the weather's been warm, it's been sort of 24 degrees. And we've been running early so that it's cooler. We've just finished week 4 and it was hard. And then next week, I think we're still running and walking intervals. I think next week we do 3 minutes run, 30 seconds walk, 6 times. I think that's the running intervals, plus a warm up and a cool down. But we haven't died yet, so we must be fitter than we were. Trying to think what else. Friday was not a very good day for me. Nothing in particular. I think I was just having a bit of a grumpy day, and everywhere I turned there was someone else, and I was stuck on the computer writing all these irritating things, and just wasn't happy. So I was really glad to have got to the weekend. And although I had sort of house jobs to do yesterday, I did get some decent knitting time in. And once I've got this edited and uploading, I think I'm going to cut out my dress pattern. So apart from feeding people tonight, I'm letting the house go to rack and ruin for the day. Yeah, so we're just sort of struggling on. Can you hear the ice cream van? They're playing O Sole Mio. So I'll take Jim the dog out for a walk in a bit, get this uploaded, and then try and have a bit more of a relax. I'm going to leave you with a little clip of Jim the dog, and hopefully that will bring a smile to your face. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up and click subscribe, because that helps other people find the podcast. And remember, all the links to my Ko-fi account and Instagram and things like that are all down below. Look after yourselves, and I'll see you soon. Bye. Okay, so we have bought Jim a present.
Jim's favourite thing in the world is walks on the beach, swims in the sea, and
squishies. Now wait for it, Max, wait for it. Okay. So whenever we buy him a new set of squishies, this is what we do. Go, go, go.
Jim, it's so shy.
Jim, look.
It's so exciting.
And his problem is he can only fit one in his mouth at a time. So I think we have just made Jim a very happy dog indeed.
Jim the dog. Where's she squishy? Where's she squishy? Jim? Jim? What's that? Jim?
His last set of squishy balls lasted over a year, I think, actually.
There's about 150 of those.
But they do eventually wander off. You never really own a dog ball. They're yours for a time and then they move on. Hey Jim, where have you gone?
Jim, Jim, what's this?
That is one happy dog.